All right, Tennis Europe Juniors, we're very lucky today to have Jason Smith from UES. How are you, Jason?
I'm very well, thank you, Sarah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well. I'm excited to have you on today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be on.
Good. Talking about the most important part of the application process for American University. Is it something you've helped a lot of students with over the years?
You could say that. Many students. So my organization, UES, we help students go to American University. We help mostly with the academic side. So we help students do the SAT or ACT, which is a big part of the process, arguably the most boring part of the process, but a very important one nonetheless.
What is the SAT and the ACT exams?
So the SAT and ACT you can think of as the entrance tests for American universities. They are sometimes required by universities in America. Sometimes they're very recommended, and sometimes you don't have to do them. But most students, if they're thinking about going to university in America, will have to do or will take the SAT or ACT. So these are tests of English and maths. Now, choosing between the tests is quite important, but both tests in general test how good you are at English and how good you are at maths. And the key thing is that they take lots of practice.
And the SAT, I remember doing that one when I was young, and it was incredibly long, and there was a lot of maths, and the ACT wasn't around at that point. Which one would you recommend for someone who perhaps is scared of maths like I was and didn't particularly enjoy it?
Okay, well, things have changed quite a lot since you took the test, Sarah, even though that wasn't very long ago.
Thanks.
And actually, the SAT is changing again very shortly from next year, and it's going to become a computer test. Now, the ACT, if you take it outside of America, is also a computer test. And both tests are now much shorter than they used to be. So the new SAT will only be 2 hours long, and the ACT is 3 hours long, and you don't have to do an essay anymore. Now, the test that I would recommend for students if you're weaker at maths would probably be the new SAT. Even though half the test is maths on the new SAT, the level of it depends on how good you are. And that's because the new SAT is an adaptive test. And that means the questions that you see depend on how many questions you've got right so far. So my recommendation is that if you're not too confident about the test and not too confident about the maths, SAT is probably the right way to go at the moment. But if you are someone who is really fast at reading, and perhaps you quite enjoy science as well, the ACT might be a better test. Yes, it's a bit longer, but it's much faster and has less kind of in-depth questions. So you could do really well on the ACT if you're that sort of person.
Amazing. And now a lot of our listeners are tennis players, so they're traveling a lot. What are the best ways to study for these exams?
Yeah, so unfortunately, you can't cram for this test. So you can't sit down and spend a week just learning the test and hoping that you'll do well. It doesn't really work that way. So it means that you do have to do work over a long period of time. And most people will spend 3 or more months preparing for the test. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to spend hours and hours every day. And generally, we say to people that if you can put aside 20 minutes a day, you will end up doing a lot of work over a number of months, and you will find the test very easy. So 20 minutes a day means a couple of hours a week, which means you'll get through a whole practice test a week. So 20 minutes before breakfast or 20 minutes at lunchtime, and you'll find that you're making a lot of progress.
Brilliant. And the nice thing is at tennis tournaments, we have a lot of downtime. So that 20 minutes, I guess, could be 40 minutes right before you're going on for matches. So that sounds better for most of us, I think. What else? Let me see. When I take it for the first time and I feel that I didn't do a very good job, can I do it more than once?
Yeah, this is the great thing about this test. It's not like taking a GCSE or an A level or IB test where that final test really counts. You can take the SAT or ACT as many times as you like. Now, most people will do it more than once. They'll take it maybe 2 times, maybe 3. Most people won't take it more than that because, especially if you're a busy tennis player, you won't have time to be spending all your weekends doing these tests. But doing it 2 or 3 times is absolutely fine. And then you can send your best score, or some colleges are really nice, and they'll say, send us all your scores and we'll take the best sections, best English and best maths from the different tests.
Amazing. And how important are these tests?
That depends on where you are applying. So some colleges will require the test, and some states, their public universities, will require the test. So if you're applying to a state university, so that in Georgia, in Tennessee, or in Florida, you need to take the test. If you're applying to somewhere like Georgetown, you need to take it. And if you're applying to MIT, you need to take it. And there are other universities that require you to take the test. Now, other universities say that it's recommended or that it's optional. Now, what that means is that you don't have to do it, but it could really help if you do it. And this is especially important for people who might not have the evidence in their other exams, in their schoolwork. You can prove to the university that you are academic enough for that university. And as I'm sure you'll agree, Sarah, having that SAT or ACT score can be very useful when you're approaching coaches to say, look, I am ready on the academic side. So the test is important, but it is possible to get away without doing it. But our recommendation is, with everything, start early, assume that you do need to do it.
Excellent. Yeah, I think especially for student athletes as well. As much as we are athletes and we enjoy our tennis and we don't always think of the academic side, it can generate a lot of academic scholarship money, which obviously for the parents, that brings the price down and opens up more options for your tennis, which is far more fun, I think. So final question, because you've been amazing. A lot of the Tennis Europe athletes, it's English isn't their first language. Do we have to do other tests as well as the SAT and ACT?
Yes. So if you go to a school that isn't teaching in English, which is common if you're studying outside of the UK or the US, then you do need to prove to the university that you have a high enough English level. Now, most students will then prove that through one of the major English language exams. So IELTS or TOEFL, the common ones. Duolingo, believe it or not, also has an English language exam that is accepted by many universities. What you need to check is which universities accept which tests. Almost all of them will accept IELTS and TOEFL. Some will accept Duolingo. So make sure you know what they want, practice for the test and take it. If you speak English well and you're already writing it in maybe some of the exams, you will find that you'll be able to do this test and get a high enough level. If you're not sure, make sure that you're getting help to try and get up to the right level of English. But if you take the SAT or ACT, you're going to be preparing for the English anyway. So you should find that you can do the TOEFL or IELTS or Duolingo well enough.
Brilliant. And would you recommend, especially for the highly academic tennis players out there, to maybe contact someone like you who can offer them guidance with getting the best possible score?
Yes. So, of course, people can always practice for these tests on their own. The thing about these tests, though, they're very different to anything you've done before. They're a completely different style. They're multiple choice. They're much faster. And they also have bits of maths and lots of English grammar rules that you might not have ever seen before. So having someone tell you those things and then show you how to approach the test to maximize your accuracy and do it fast enough can be very helpful. Not everyone needs it. And I don't want to sit here and say you must have tuition or courses, but many people will do something to get them a head start. So we run courses, and you can always go to our website, which is ueseducation.com, to find what courses we're running online and in person in London. And we also offer private tuition where we can see you online or in person, one-to-one.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming in today, Jason. All of the Tennis Europe players, I know with the traveling, these short videos are really helpful with their kind of understanding of the pathway. So I really appreciate your time today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jason. All right, stop.